What's good, guys? Welcome back to Small Talk and Head-to-Head Fantasy Basketball. And of course, I'm being joined with Anson. What's good, Anson?
Yo, what's up, guys? Today we'll be going over 12-man waiver wire pickups. These are players that we think are going to do good, either on the short term because someone's injured, or they're in a really good spot to be rosterable, potentially rosterable for the rest of the year.
Well, yeah, let's get started. With Luke Kennard. Okay. Luke Kennard was one of the candidates I had on my, watch list on my fantasy when Marcus Smart and Desmond Bane went out. So if you guys are in my fantasy or in the fantasy Discord that we have, you guys should know that hey, Luke Kennard was a pickup that I said, hey, I think Luke Kennard, Vince Williams Jr., those guys are should get a big bump in usage when John Morant, Marcus Smart, and Bane was out. So we still, or I still will, Anson and I, we both still see that Luke Kennard is like 5.8% rostered. I know it dropped a little bit, because he did get injured, and Memphis is just total bad luck. Everyone's getting injured. But I think once Luke Kennard does come back, they're gonna bump him right into 30 plus minutes, and his usage is gonna be very, very high. So I think this is a very, very good waiver wire pickup if you guys don't already have like someone that's or you don't already have Luke Kennard. If you don't, then maybe you use him for a streaming spot and cycle him.
Yeah, Memphis is just really short-handed. At one point, they're playing David Rowdy at shooting guard. They have Gigi Jackson playing shooting guard. These guys are kind of like fours, but they're just stretch. They're flexing them into shooting guard just because they just don't have enough players. They're starting Scotty Pippen Jr. When Luke Kennard was playing, he was their primary point guard. That's how short-handed they are. But Luke Kennard at point guard, he's already a pretty good shooter. He's already going to get a bulk of the volume of perimeter shots as Desmond Bane is out. On top of that, now he's going to have some playmaking potential. So now that people did drop Luke Kennard and he's only 5.8% rostered, I think that there's a lot of upside if he plays 30 minutes, which he is pretty likely to play 30 minutes. They're playing Scottie Pippen Jr. 30 minutes. They're playing Vince Williams Jr. close to 40 minutes. And Luke Kennard is, just he's pretty much better than all of those players. So I expect when Luke Kennard comes back, he's fully ready to go. I I assume Luke Kennard will be playing upwards of maybe mid 30 to close to 40 minutes per game.
Yeah, let's move on from Luke Kennard. We got another Memphis player, Santi Aldama. And, just like the reasoning we said right there, Memphis has absolutely nobody on their team right now. So Santi Aldama, he's been getting a lot more minutes. I know he's not been producing as much, but I think this is just a little, bad stretch of games. I feel like he should be able to bounce right back, averaging about 35, 36 fantasy points. Maybe his ceiling can go up to 40 fantasy points per game. But as of right now, I think everyone on Memphis has a shot to have really, really good, really, really good fantasy numbers and really good minutes since they got nobody on Memphis right now.
Yeah, the last two games, we're seeing Santi Aldama shoot 35% from the field, 36% from the field. He took 15 attempts last game. 2 games ago, he took 11 attempts. So he's just really struggling from the field. But we do know Santi Aldama, he's shown that when players are out, he's a very high fantasy point per minute player. Similar to players like Kelly Olynyk, where if they just get minutes, they can produce a lot of fantasy points. So it's just a I would just kind of see this as a rough stretch for Santi Aldama. And when he kind of gets back in his groove, he should be able to produce at least a fantasy point per minute. And last game he played 34 minutes. Going forward, I expect 30 minutes per game until they get some of their guys back. But it's a pretty good sign that he's able to get 34 minutes. And Memphis is more forward heavy than they are guard heavy. Some of these guards that they're playing, I think their minutes are more unsustainable, such as Scottie Pippen Jr. Once Marcus Smart, once Desmond Bane comes back, um, I expect Scottie Pippen to not really get playing time at all. Same thing with um, some of the other guards like John Conchar, who's getting a spike in minutes. I expect them not to get minutes. However, Santi Aldama, he's a forward. Memphis, they they have a lot of forwards, and he's still getting priority over a lot of those other guys like David Roddy, for example.
Yeah, so if Santi Aldama is on your free agency, you could definitely look at it for him as a quick, good streaming option. Let's move on from Santi Aldama. We got Jared Vanderbilt. Okay. So we can just see really quick, throughout the season this year, he's only averaged 15 fantasy points per game, 20 minutes per game. But, last 4 games, he's been getting a lot more minutes and he's obviously been producing more as well. So if Jared Vanderbilt is on a free agency, you definitely could look to pick him up, especially since I think AD sat out this game. And, if injuries occur with AD or LeBron, I think Vanderbilt should be a pretty good solid or pretty good pickup from the free agency, right? Averaging 38 fantasy points, like I said already. So very, very good stream if you guys haven't already.
Yeah, Vanderbilt has just been providing Lakers with much needed defense. I do think these numbers are a bit unsustainable. However, I think, there is still a lot of upside if he's able to play a lot of minutes. He's been averaging almost 3 steals per game. The last week or so, he's been averaging almost 3 steals a game. It's reflecting in his fantasy points. He's also able to score for some reason. I don't think the scoring output is sustainable. I don't think 3 steals per game is sustainable. However, if he's going to get close to 30 minutes per game, like he has been getting, then I think there's definitely some upside for him to be potentially rosterable. Um, and he's also been shooting the ball a lot better. So if the Lakers they just need players that could play both defense and offense, and if he continues to provide that, he's going to be a pretty key part of their lineup, and he's potentially going to be a pretty good fantasy player.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening for Vanderbilt. So, like Anson I said, if you have him on the free agency, you could definitely look to him as a good streaming option. Let's move on from Vanderbilt. We got Saddiq Bey. I know he's been kind of up and down, but as of right now, kind of solidified his position. He's been getting a lot of minutes per game. Sorry, there's a little typo there, but you're getting a good amount of minutes per game, averaging 20 points per game, and he's averaging about 36 fantasy points per game. I expect this to keep going up. I know DeAndre Hunter is coming back, or he did come back. I'm not sure he is coming back. It might affect his numbers a little bit. I know they have Jalen Johnson as well. But I feel like as of right now, Saddiq Bey is performing very, very solidly, where to the point where if there is a potential Murray trade, Saddiq Bey should definitely get that bump in usage along with everybody else, of course. But yeah, I think Saddiq Bey, if you guys haven't already, it's worth a shot. The trade deadline is on February 8th. So if something happens, I would be want to be the one of the first people to have Saddiq Bey, in my opinion. So if he is on your free agency, you guys can look to grab him really quick to see how he plays out throughout the week and maybe after the trade deadline.
Yes, Saddiq Bey, if he's utilized properly, he could put up a lot of fantasy points as well. He's one of those players. We've seen him do this in Detroit, where when he gets the minutes, he's pretty much rosterable, must roster in 12 man, drop 50 points in Detroit. So now he's getting 35 minutes per game. I do expect it to go down, as Alan said, with DeAndre Hunter coming back, but I think Saddiq Bey will be still a really good option for at least the next week or so while they're trying to vamp up DeAndre Hunter. And going forward, I mean, he's been playing really well. So I don't expect DeAndre Hunter is not good enough. Respectfully, he's not good enough to just take away minutes from a player that's been performing really well. Like if someone like Tatum was out, then yeah, when Tatum comes back, Saddiq Bey, you got to go to the bench. But Hunter and Bey, they're about the same level. If Saddiq Bey has been playing really well, DeAndre Hunter is he's come back, but he's kind of starting a little slow. I'm assuming the coach should favor Saddiq Bey over DeAndre Hunter until their performance kind of shifts.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Let's move on from Saddiq Bey. We got Aaron Nesmith. So same thing, very, very low people have him rostered, 11.3%. So he definitely might be on your free agency. So keep an eye out for him. He's been playing very, very well, 35, almost 36 minutes per game, averaging 48 fantasy points per game. And a big factor is just because he's better. He's just been playing better than everybody else in his position. And that gets him more minutes, gets him more touches, gets him more usage. So that boosts his fantasy output. I know there's people saying, well, there's a lot of players on Pacers rate. You got Tyrese, of course, Siakam now, Turner, right? Is Neesmith going to be the next person? Maybe, right? He's been getting a lot more minutes. And I feel like since they are going to potentially go for a playoff run or a deep playoff run, I wouldn't be surprised if they just kept running heavy minutes from Aaron Neesmith and just solidify their core where they're like, hey, this is our core. This is who we're going to be running with. So if that does happen, I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Nesmith just keeps his minutes up and keeps his production up as well.
Yeah, I've been really high on Aaron Nesmith since he's entered the league. I've was kind of disappointed of how Boston was kind of using him, not giving him a lot of minutes. But now that he's kind of found a home in the Pacers, I'm pretty confident in Aaron Nesmith's production in the going forward. If he's able to keep getting these minutes, he's been playing really well and he's been earning it. And you could be like, okay, maybe this is just a good streak for Aaron Nesmith. However, I would like to remind you guys that Aaron Nesmith, he is this good of a shooter, right? So I'm obviously he's been shooting close to 60-70%. That's not sustainable. However, in college, he was shooting 52% when he was playing back in Vanderbilt. So very good shooter. I think it's a really good fit along guys with Tyrese Halliburton and Siakam, who needs a lot of space. So I think he's a really good fit. I think he going forward, the coach should try to build around that core of Aaron Nesmith, having a playmaker in Tyrese Halliburton, and Aaron Nesmith being a floor spacer really benefits Siakam. So I'm pretty confident that he's going to retain his minutes, even if there's a lot of depth in the Pacers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely could see him being a must roster player from now on. But let's move on from Aaron Nesmith. We got Ayo Dosunmu. As of right now, he's playing really well. Obviously, Levine and Williams are still out, and there's obviously trade rumors, of course, about Levine and DeRozan. And if that does happen, I feel like a lot of Bulls play would get a bump, including him. As of right now, he's averaging about 32 minutes per game, 33 fantasy points per game, which I still think he could probably improve on if they do trade out some of these big stars, Levine and DeRozan. I think he'd easily jump that up to 37, 38 fantasy points per game. I think Kobe White is another one. I think a lot of people have Kobe White already, so he's not listed here, of course, but he would be also one of the players that does get that bump in usage and boost in production. But yeah, if you guys still have him on your free agency, definitely go in and pick him up.
Yeah, Ayo Dosunmu, it's kind of the theme of today's video. It's just some of these players that are pretty high fantasy point per minute players. They just don't have the minutes, and right now it's kind of they're just getting a lot of opportunities, whether it's injuries or players potentially getting traded. They're just in a pretty good position. Ayo Dosunmu, like Alan said, with Levine out, he's getting a lot of minutes. He's able to produce fantasy points in a lot of different ways, not just scoring, but he gets assists, he gets steals, gets a lot of peripheral stats. He gets a pretty good amount of rebounds for a player his size. So potentially, if Levine and DeRozan gets traded, he's going to be the main guard starting um, alongside Kobe White. I There's also trade rumors with Caruso, so that's going to free up a lot of playing time, especially in the guard position. And Ayo Dosunmu, he kind of give what the Bulls need. So he's a really good defender. The coach really likes how he plays. He should get a lot of minutes, but if his teammates do get traded, then I expect Ayo Dosunmu to be must roster for even 10-man, maybe even 8-man leagues.
Yeah, let's move on from IU. Let's see who we got next. Of course, Donte DiVincenzo. If you guys don't know, Randall did get injured, and it looked like a pretty serious injury. I think he tweaked his shoulder, so I think they're gonna judge him by maybe a day by day, maybe even a week by week basis. And of course, that means a lot of New York players are getting a bump in usage, and Dante is one of them. But just look at his last 4 games, averaging about 45 fantasy points per game. 32 minutes per game, about 16 field goal attempts. And I think this is what's going to be for probably like 2 weeks. I would say I'll give it 2 weeks before Randall can come back. But yeah, if this keeps up, definitely a must roster. He's only 16.5% rostered. Tonight, he had a really, really big game, dropped out 75 fantasy points. So if that isn't enough more for you guys to get him, I think you guys should go run in your free agency and try to grab him really quick.
Yeah, Randall takes 18 shots per game, so that's just someone needs to shoot it, and DiVincenzo he's been hitting shots, so he's been able to kind of take advantage of 16 field goal attempts. Definitely not sustainable, so he's definitely more of a short term pickup. So when Randall comes back, I don't think Donte DiVincenzo will be this good. He might still be kind of viable just because he's been playing so well. And we know Tibbs likes Tom Thibodeau kind of likes to stick with players that he trusts. It seems like Donte DiVincenzo has earned his trust. He's been playing a lot. He's been playing a lot of minutes, 31.5 the past 4 games. However, last game he played 39. The game before that he's playing 42. So he's slowly earning more and more minutes. So even when Randall comes back, I think Donte DiVincenzo has earned a pretty solid spot on the roster.
Yeah, I could definitely see him being very, very productive during the next 2 weeks. And even if Randall comes back, like you said, I still think he'd be pretty good. But I think that should actually move, not actually move. I think that should wrap up this video. I don't think there's anybody else. Yeah, this is it. So if you guys enjoyed, right, if you guys had any other players that you think should be on this waiver wire pickups or some sleeper picks, let us know in the comments or in the Discord below. But yeah, if you guys use these pickups to help you guys win, also let us know like who you picked up, and if they did well, great. If they didn't do as well, it's okay. Still cycle them away, stream them away. They should do pretty well. I think a lot of these players have very high ceilings and not too low floors. So I think that's very, very good. So if you guys do get these players, don't expect 60 fantasy point games. I'm saying just give them maybe a boost of 5, 6 fantasy points extra from what they're averaging, right? Some like DiVincenzo could average 10 more fantasy points than how he's producing, or 20 more. But it just depends, how they play out throughout the games and throughout, the usage and how the coaching how they want to play them. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys let us know, like our video, subscribe, comment, and yeah, is there anything else you want to add for them, Anson?
If you guys haven't already, make sure you join our Discord. We talk a lot in there. Um, and yeah, like Alan said, follow, subscribe. We got more fantasy content coming out for you guys. So hopefully, with playoffs coming soon, if you guys are in deeper leagues, playoffs probably already started. If you are in 16-man leagues, I believe playoffs already started for you guys. So make sure to follow us for more. We'll be dropping buy low, sell high candidates. If your guys' trade deadline isn't here yet, and if you guys trade deadline already passed, we got more waiver wire pickups for you guys.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll see you guys in our next video or inside the Discord. Peace.